Welcome back to our continuing YouTube video series on restaurant acquisitions from a legal perspective. My name is Christopher Neufeld of Neufeld Legal. And in this particular YouTube video, we're going to be discussing the other set of leases that are particularly important when you're looking to purchase or otherwise acquire a restaurant. And that is equipment leases. Now, we previously discussed about the underlying real estate lease and how significant that is and what you need to be focusing on with respect to real estate leases for the underlying premises. Now, from a legal perspective and also from the perspective of where you're actually going to potentially cause your lawyer to undertake significantly more work and increase your legal bill, is the aspect of equipment leases. And that's why I thought it would be important to have a separate YouTube video to discuss these leases. So this can range from anything from leasing of dishwashers, garments, equipment, vehicles. Always interesting to find out that there's personal vehicles that are leased under a restaurant or a bar. Very common in the restaurant industry, even though those vehicles maybe really shouldn't be part of the business, but they are. Now, why is it that equipment leases are such a critical thing to address? They're a critical thing to address because typically what happens is the party that's leasing the equipment has a very specific contract that you have to abide by. But more significantly, since they're leasing something and it's technically under a financing arrangement, there's a security agreement that's in place. It's registered with the government. In Canada, you'd find that as a personal property security agreement. In the United States, it's a UCC filing. Either way, you have a security filing that needs to be dealt with, especially when you're having financing from a bank. Because what the bank wants to do is it wants to clear up all the financing arrangements that pre-exist. And if they're financing, they want to put themselves into first position, address whatever financing is there, have the pre-existing arrangements shifted into a new arrangement, which means they have to be taken out of, bank put in first place, other equipment leases put properly in place subsequent, but still focus on that equipment, so they still got priority on that equipment. And why does this create a problem? Well, typically the banks do operate through their lawyers at a pretty quick pace when you're looking to acquire a restaurant. Equipment leasing companies are a whole different story. They have a tendency of being slow and pedantic and thus holding up stuff. And when they hold up stuff, what ends up happening? You've got a lot of other parties, be it the seller, be it the bank financier, be it other financing parties, be it lawyers, be it accountants, who really want to get things done. And they can't have this waiting around. So what does that mean? That means you have to take the initiative early on to first identify all those equipment leases, do the appropriate searches, and then start putting in place the necessary arrangements to have the equipment leases that are securitized and are registered, have those securities effectively come off on the date of closing and be reassigned to the purchaser as of the day of closing. Now, it all seems quite simple, but for the fact that getting equipment lenders to sign off on something is oftentimes exceedingly difficult, or it's a very time-consuming and slow and laborious process. And I can tell you that from experience, having dealt with so many different equipment lenders and how they proceed. They fire it off to their lawyers, or they're fired off to their agents, and they say it's going to get done, and this paperwork's going to get done, and they're going to get this. They're not really worried about it. They got their arrangement in place, and they're going to get paid, and they're more focused on finding their next client. And there's really nothing of major consequence here. They're still going to get paid. Somebody's on the hook. money's coming through. So what do you have to do? You have to help your lawyer, and you have to work with them so they can take the initiative early on and put this stuff in place. Because when this stuff isn't put in place, there's more paperwork that has to be done, more filings, more arrangements to make the deal go through. Because the deal's not necessarily going to be forestalled because of these arrangements. Yeah, there's some paperwork you can maneuver around so that the deal still gets through and you can deal with the stuff. But why do you want to do that? You realize that you're paying lawyers on an hourly basis. And that means they're incurring costs every time they're shuffling papers around. And they're shuffling papers not because they want to, because they have to. Because you've got an equipment leasing party that is not proceeding promptly. So, given that fact, what do you need to do? You need to get on the ball. You need to work with a lawyer who understands that this needs to be taken care of. And you got to move this forward. You got to make sure all these lenders are contacted. You got to make sure you know what all the leases are that are out there beyond the real estate leases. And you need to work forward so everything's in place, done promptly, efficiently, and therefore you control your costs on the transaction and you can focus your attention on getting the transaction done right. Hopefully this has been informative and you can use this to your advantage when you are looking to acquire a restaurant, a pub, a bar, or virtually any other business that engages in equipment leasing. If you need assistance with respect to your particular acquisition, feel free to contact ourselves. As you can tell, this is our area of legal practice and business area of interest and focus. So when there is an acquisition you're looking to do, or if you're looking to sell a business, or you're looking to continue and have legal representation for your restaurant business, your pub, or any other business, please feel free to contact us, and we more than gladly speak with you and see if we are the right party to work with yourself. Thank you.